afternoon. It's Renaldo Mesa with the Real Man, Real Leaders podcast. I want to welcome you today. It is January the 4th. We've had a somewhat of a crazy winter and going back with cold, snow. It warms up and so forth. But nevertheless, we thank God for the moisture that we are getting because we've been needing that. I have a special guest today, a friend of mine, although I've known Andy a little bit. I don't know Andy. I do know Andy and I don't know Andy. And so that's why he's here today. And this podcast is about leadership. We try to teach our youth in the concepts about organization, personal management, leadership, and communication. And so we are going to bring folks both in the public and private sectors to talk about who they are, who they work for, and their role as a leader, because I'm sure Andy would not be where he's at today if he did not assert himself and want to be in the position that he's in today. And he did, and I'm going to let him tell a story, he did serve on our school board here for a bit of time, so he has worked with our youth, and that's the other reason we have Andy Fahrmeier. Andy, welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you're on, and like I said, tell us a little bit about you and how you arrived, your family, and how you arrived in Garden City.
Okay. Well, first off, Renaldo, thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Appreciate being on your podcast. So a little bit about me. I actually grew up in Kansas City area. Went off to I grew up in Olathe, went off to K-State, got a degree in construction science and management. And
before you go on, did you always, as a young kid, did that interest you always, or just?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of thing.
Or did you just happen to fall into it? Or
no, I mean, so my dad was a school teacher and he taught middle school history, but he used to do a lot of side work in the summertime.
Okay, that's kind of
work to earn extra money to support his, fishing and
sure, the things he wanted to do.
Yeah, right. And so, naturally, I grew up helping him a lot and working with him on stuff, whether it's building a deck or remodeling a basement or whatever we were doing. And so I always had that. I always enjoyed, making things, creating, doing things with my hands, that sort of thing. So I ended up going on to K-State. I was ultimately just looking to find kind of a pathway to get into the construction industry. Construction science degree was that pathway. So majored in construction science, ended up, met my wife while we were at K-State. My wife's from out here in Western Kansas. But we ended up moving back to Kansas City after school. Mm-hmm. I spent the first 9 years of my career as a field superintendent, working for a general contractor in Kansas City, and actually in Kansas City and the Wichita area, and doing things, start out kind of multifamily, building townhomes, that sort of thing.
Mostly residential.
Kind of multifamily apartment building kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then I, got the opportunity to kind of move on to more of a commercial construction, started building schools, built a hospital, that sort of thing. And then, built an Army National Guard center.
And who at this time were you working for?
A company called Straub Construction.
Straub, okay. And they were out of?
Kansas City.
Okay.
Yep. So I started,
maybe you said that and I didn't catch it, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so I started working for Straub back when I was in college as a summer intern. I worked for them one summer and then again over Christmas break. I actually spent my last summer of my years in college out in doing an internship in California.
Oh, wow.
Knew I wanted to be in construction, just had never really left the Kansas City area at that time. And so...
That's a big jump, man.
Yeah, so I kind of set my sights on going somewhere else for the summer and trying it out.
Where at in California?
Santa Clara, which is kind of the South Bay of San Francisco Bay Area. So got a really great opportunity to work for a company called Rudolph and Sletten out there. We were building a brand new hospital and medical office building in Santa Clara. So that was awesome. I got to work out on the job site. And we were at that time, the steel was going up. Mm-hmm. A lot of rough-in activities taking place. So just really cool. Really my first time to be on a project of that size and complexity. Really enjoyed it. But I also kind of learned a little bit about myself that summer that I knew that.
What did you learn?
Well, I had I really enjoyed, the people I worked with, the friends I made out there, the opportunities that we had there's a lot of cool things to do in California, from mountain biking
it's beautiful
to
there.
hiking to all sorts of things. But I kind of at the end of there, I really realized that, being back in Kansas is where I wanted to live, where I wanted to, get married, raise a family. So, so I came back and ended up having a great opportunity, work for Straub. And then about 2012, I came to work for Hutton. At that time I was building projects in Wichita. I was building an Army National Guard Center there over on the east side of Wichita. And the owner of our company, Ben Hutton, Ben and I actually went to school together at K-State. His dad started the company in 92.
Yeah. By the way, I knew
Mark?
Mr. Yeah, because when I served a couple of years in the legislature, Mark was serving at that same time.
Yep.
And I can't recall. I know he was a chairman. He was chairman of a few committees there. One of the committees, but I can't remember. But anyway, I got to know Mark really well. So.
Yeah, really great guy. So Ben and I graduated K-State at the same semester. And so when we moved to Wichita, coincidentally, we ended up kind of going to the church together at the same church. And eventually, one time, Ben just kind of reached out to me and asked me if I'd, want to go have lunch. And so one thing led to another, and I ultimately realized he kind of shared with me, and I had an opportunity to run Hutton's office out here in Western Kansas.
Was that a big step for you then?
Yeah, it really was. At that time I had I've been a field superintendent, albeit I had the opportunity to, really run some big projects and really, do a lot of really, great things as a superintendent. But I personally was kind of looking for an opportunity to be more of a leader within the company and not just running jobs. And I was kind of looking for that opportunity to make that change. And so it really was kind of an opportunity for me professionally, but also my wife's family is from Ness City, which is, an hour from here.
Yep.
And so that took us a lot closer to her mom and dad. And at that time, my three daughters, my oldest is in college now, but my youngest
goes fast, I'm telling you.
My youngest was a baby and my oldest was a first grader. And it was a really great opportunity for us to be a lot closer to my wife's family.
Well, good for you. And you've been how long with Hutton now?
So I started in the fall of 2012, and by spring of 2013, we moved to Garden. So I've been here for about 13 years.
When Hutton then decided to put an office here, I'm assuming, or did they have an office already?
The office here started in 2008.
Okay.
And so my predecessor, his name was Darwin, he was retiring. And so Ben was looking for somebody to take over the role that was running this office. So that's how I ended up in this opportunity and being here.
And you've been staying fairly busy. I think the contractors I talk to, most of them, if not all of them, are staying pretty busy in this area.
Yeah, we have been. We've been very fortunate. I've been able to not only grow our staff over the years, but also keep a good backlog of work for us. We work kind of regionally. So our office here in Garden City, but I would say our focus is projects within about a 3 or 3.5 hour radius of Garden. Mm-hmm. So that takes us all throughout Western Kansas.
Over 200 miles, 300 miles, yeah.
Yeah, even, kind of eastern plains of Colorado, and we'd even be we'd pursue projects in West Oklahoma and North Panhandle of Texas, really.
So does Hutton have an office here, Wichita, and Kansas City, or are they elsewhere in Kansas?
We actually have 6 offices.
6 offices.
Yeah, quite a bit. We've grown a lot over the years. So company started in 1992, corporate offices in Wichita. 2008 was the first branch office, and that was here in Garden. In 2012, we actually acquired a company in McPherson that does industrial work, so kind of working in like oil refineries, nitrogen fertilizer, like Coke Industries, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So acquired that group, and that their office is in McPherson, and then I'm going to get this wrong. I don't know, 6-7 years ago, we actually acquired a group in Salina, a general contractor there, and that became our North Central Kansas office. They opened a branch office in Manhattan, and then we just recently launched an office in Northwest Arkansas.
Wow.
So
I see you guys are growing.
Yeah, a lot of growth over the years.
Yeah. Now, how many employees do you have here in this office?
In this office, gosh, I knew you were going to say that. I should have.
That's all right. Just round number. You don't have to be spot on.
Yeah. We have, let me see, 2, 4. I always, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 12 total. 12, including carpenters and laborers.
Okay.
So, yep.
Wow. It's kind of mean and lean, though, right? I mean, you operating that way. It sounds like it to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think
it's probably smart. I mean,
yeah. I mean, what I always tell people about Hutton is, we are a smaller office, so you get the, kind of focus and attention of a small company, but Hutton as a whole has over 400 employees. And so we've kind of got the horsepower of a larger company. So if we get, so sometimes if an opportunity arises and, we need more carpenters or something for a short term on our project, we can always, draw from guys from other offices and that sort of thing. But, we've got a good core nucleus of people here that run jobs and they're, and the good thing is, I've really focused on building a team of folks that are really rooted out here in Western Kansas, whether they're from here or their, spouse is from here, that sort of thing. So
you get good, strong core of people.
Yeah.
And so you haven't had any issues with losing people, I'm guessing. I mean, you've been able to retain your folks.
We've had some people come and go over the years. The team that I have now is different than the team that I had in 2013 when I started here. But we've had a lot of people that have been here that have, joined our team that I've had, got them right out of college and got to watch them grow. One of my superintendents, his name's Abigail Gonzalez. He started as an intern with us the summer between, he was actually going to Dodge City Community College. He's from Sublette. And then he was transferring down to Pitt State to finish his bachelor's degree.
Oh, good for him.
And so he came to work for us that summer between the Dodge and Pitt, and then came to work back for us full time.
That's nice.
And that was like 2017, 2018. Wow. And, he's the superintendent that built Bible Christian Church. And now he's over in Dodge City building the Sacred Heart Catholic School at Guadalupe. So it's been awesome to watch him grow and his leadership abilities and his what he's able to do every day.
See, this is why we're having this conversation. I want the public to know and these young kids to know the possibilities within the construction industry.
Yeah.
That's a great story. And I'm glad that your company works with our youth, in that way.
Yeah. Well, and I always look at it, the way I had the opportunity, when I was coming up in those first 7, 8, 10 years 9 years that I worked at Straub to really, my opportunities that were afforded to me about what job I got to go run and the role and the responsibilities I held were merit-based. It didn't matter that I was 22 years old or 27 years old.
You were capable.
Can I handle it?
Was I able to
perform it?
And that's good.
And I try to lead that same way. I look for... That's
good.
The superintendent that I was mentioning just before the show started, his name's Alec.
Yeah.
He's building the Finney County Health Department project right now. He's from Cimarron. I met him at the high school career fair in Cimarron when he was a senior. He interned with us for 2 summers through college, and he's building a 30,000 square foot, $13 million job, and he's 25 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, but he's super capable. He's very organized. He's a great
and he
leader.
shows up. And he's wanting to do it.
He's fantastic, and so to me, it doesn't matter to me how old he is. It's who he is and what he's able to do.
Good.
What he shows each and every day when he comes to work. So,
well, man, if you just invest and give these kids a chance, especially if you see one that has potential, and that has desire and a little bit of passion, and he gets up every day, whether it's he or she, and comes to work, just giving them encouragement, stick with us. I'm going to, if you want this, like this work, we want you, and we're going to do what we can to keep you.
Yeah.
That's the attitude I think more companies and should have, and I'm sure many of them do. So good for you guys. I think that's so important. And I mentioned to you early, my hope is we can improve our relationship with Real Men Real Leaders. And as our boys get older and they're getting ready to graduate or go off to college, but if they are interested in construction, I want you to be able to call me, hey, Ray, we're looking for so-and-so. If you got somebody that's interested, I want to be able to send your way. We want to connect with all sorts of business and industry in that way. We're going to start working on that down in the future. You had an opportunity to serve on the school board. That's the other reason I wanted you on, because you obviously cared about kids in our community, and not only yours, but other students. Tell us a little bit about that, your time, and maybe some of your ideas or goals, or
Yeah. So I mean, prior to the school board, I'd served on a couple other boards in here in.
You're on the chamber board, right?
I did, served 2 terms on the chamber board, so 6 years there. I was on the Downtown Vision board before that.
That's right.
So, but prior to Downtown Vision, I'd never been served on a board. I didn't ever serve on a board until I moved to Garden City and was, that would have been 2013. I've been 33 years old, first time I ever served on a board. But being able to be involved and kind of learning a little bit about how boards operate and leadership responsibilities that go with being on a board. That was good. And so fast forward to, about 3.5 years ago, I had kind of decided that, the school district, and I mean, maybe because of my dad being a school teacher, that, public schools was always something I was very passionate about. I always feel like the public school systems in any community, ours included, is really kind of the lifeblood of the community and really impacts every family within the community. Right. And so, I always felt like as a way to serve, and that's an area that I personally have passion for, and I knew, as an area of you can really have an impact. So I had told myself that I was going to run in the next election when the election cycle come up, and I had made that decision, and that was going to be like 2 years down the road. And then at that, a few months later, a board vacancy opened up.
So it was expedited.
So I said, well, if you're going to do this in 2 years, then do it now. Right. And so I filled out an application and submitted to the board, and they chose to have me fill. I actually filled a board vacancy that was held by Cammie McDonald. So I came in about 9 months into her term. And so essentially I served for about 3 years and 3 months on the board.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what, I know we have an issue. I mean, let's be honest about here in Garden with the number of students. And we're losing students. Not sure why that's happening. I had a good visit with the current superintendent, and there is a concern there. And I know that that time you all were looking into possibly having to close some buildings. That's tough to do in any community. It's because you impact kids. You're going to be moving kids around. I know that that's ongoing, and I'm sure it was a tough subject. And I don't know what the outcome is going to be or what's going to happen, but I hear that it's an issue that's not going to go away anytime soon. And it's kind of mind-boggling because we're not certain. If I'm wrong, let me know. We're not certain where these kids are. They stop coming to school? Did they move? Do you have any comments or input about that? Or thoughts about that?
Sure. So something we looked into a lot, right? The last year I was on the board, the discussion about what originally started as a discussion about just adjusting boundaries, because within the district, a lot of our housing growth and people are moving to the east side of town, which is really pushing some of those schools, particularly those elementary schools, to be at or over capacity. Whereas on the west side of town, we have a lot of families that they're just not young families over there anymore. There's just no kids in that part of town, and so we've got schools over there like on the west side that are well below capacity and really buildings that are being underutilized if you look at it that way. So that's how that conversation started. But really quickly in the discussions in the committee, that question that I've heard since I first moved to Garden about grade reconfiguration. Are intermediate centers really the right recipe for success for our students, having that additional transition going for, all but 3 of our grade schools in the district are K4. You got Georgia Matthews, Jenny Barker, and Plymouth that are K6, but not Georgia Matthews, Abe Hubert.
Hey, trust me, it's easy enough because there's a few schools there. I can't even remember them all.
Abe Hubert and Plymouth and Jenny Barker are your K6 schools.
Okay.
But all the other ones are K4. So if you're a student that goes to any of those other 8 elementary schools, you're going to also go to either Bernie, Sitz, or Charles Stone's as a 5th and 6th grade center. And then on to middle school for 7th and 8th, and then on to high school. So there's a lot of steps in that process. And academics and curriculums have evolved over time. We found that a lot of curriculums are based in a K5, 6-8 model. So being a K5, 6-8 district, that topic had been brought up a lot over time, and it got brought up again by the committee that was looking at boundaries. And so that whole conversation shifted from just being, let's redraw some boundaries and balance out student populations amongst the schools, to what would it look like if we changed to a K5, 6-8 district? That's really where all of that went. I mean, but when you think about that, there's a lot of moving parts. Because you're looking at 2 middle schools that are not sized currently to hold a 3rd grade level there, and then also you be taking 2 buildings that are currently dedicated to being 5th and 6th grade centers, and what do you do with those? What do you do with those schools? Do you make them elementary schools? What do you? So it's a complicated scenario. There's a lot of cause and effect in that. But you also need to think about the future and setting. If you're going to make, I think if you're, one of the ways I feel like we really looked at that as a board is if you're going to make this transition, you also need to make sure you're doing something that is stable for a long period of time to come, and is
not just a Band-Aid, right?
Yeah, and is setting the district up to be stable and successful and right-sized for long periods of time to come. So you really got to look at your enrollment trends too. And as you said, the enrollment in the district has been dropping. We have about 7,000 students in the district, and our student population year over year had been dropping about 70-ish students a year. But you look at the data, and most of the school districts around us are doing the same thing, in relatively the same ratios.
But have they figured out why? I mean, are they working on that? I mean, that's the question.
There was a lot of why discussion there. I think that a lot of it has to do, me personally, where I really landed on this was, I think a lot of it has to do with families are just different now. My personal life, by the time I was 31, my wife and I had 3 kids. The people I work with and my team at Hutton, I've got, somewhere around 6 or so folks that are all in that 25 to 31 age, and there's 1 kid amongst all of them. And it's just different. Like, I just feel like, and I feel like what I have, folks in my own company is probably pretty similar to people throughout urban cities. So I think a lot of it has to do with that. I think a lot of it has to do with families are, people are waiting longer to have kids. I think family sizes are smaller.
It's just not here. I think it's across the country. I've read articles where a lot of our young people aren't running to get married. They're not running to go buy a house right away. A lot of them have some school debt to contend with, let alone trying to get a loan. I think you're right. That's what's happening.
And it isn't just a Southwest Kansas thing.
No,
I think it's not even a Kansas thing.
Right. I agree.
It's just a changing dynamic in our country. So the way I think I wanted to really focus on looking at that is I was in that board seat was, facing that reality and making decisions that were going to, align with that trajectory that we were on. And, but obviously we know that the city has been growing. It's been growing, extremely well.
Yeah.
And so, it's a complicated formula. And I don't know that there's
It's like an oxymoron, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of housing growth,
Yeah.
a lot of, and our population has continued to grow, but over that same period of time, student populations were also trending down. But, I know that, I have a lot of confidence in, we have a really, really great school board and a really strong administrative team, which is something I'm really, really happy about. And, if our current school board decides to continue to pursue looking into grade reconfiguration and such, I'm confident they're going to really look into those factors, and those things are not going to be, discarded. Those, they're going to look deeply into that, because that is the reality. I mean, so I'm confident. It was being on that school board with the group of individuals that I was on there with. Is probably the best group of volunteer leaders that I've ever been around.
Yeah.
And it was really an honor to serve.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
It really is. And like I was talking to you earlier, you have several constituents. It's not just the parents, you have the students themselves, and then you have staff, you have your leadership within the district running things. So you have a number of folks to deal with, and hopefully make as happy as you can. And not everybody's going to be happy with change, including the public. And I know families get and I probably one of them, I don't have any children in the district, but when you change things or disrupt, their line, people get a little excited about that, or you might close their favorite school, or, on a different kind of level, there's always been talk about school consolidation in some rural areas because of the lack of the tax base. That there's going to have to be some of that in the future. Nobody likes to talk about that, okay? Because everybody wants to keep their football team, their basketball team, their mascot. I get that. But if the tax base keeps eroding in some of these more rural areas, what are you to do? It's a tough decision. There's going to be tough decisions in the future if things don't change.
Yeah, the thing that I tried to always follow is when I was on the board, whether it's discussions about grade reconfiguration or picking an ELA curriculum or any of the various topics we looked at, setting new board policies, is as a board member, my job is to ask a lot of questions, seek a lot of points of input, get well informed, and then vote my conscience and vote my gut.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really what you've got to do in that situation, because and in doing that, I have confidence that folks chose to elect me to be on the school board.
That's right.
And if I'm doing that, I'm doing what I think serves the community.
And sometimes those same people put you in that position may not like your decision, but that, to me, it circles back to leadership. Sometimes you have to do things that are not desirable, that can everybody's happy with. It's not reality. But to me, when I look at that, that's part of being a leader too, is making the tough choices. People put you there, and even if you don't get reelected, you still believe that I still left there making the right choice. Oftentimes, I don't think that's the case. We have politicians much on a federal level that are worried about getting reelected, and sometimes instead of doing doing the right thing and for their constituents. That's we're not going to get into that, the politics, but that, to me, that's what it's become. More concerned about being reelected than making working together and compromising and hammering out issues they'll choose to do the other sometimes, and it's different on a local level. There is some differences, obviously. I truly believe now, because I've had the opportunity to serve at the local level and then a couple years in the state legislature. I truly believe that all politics is local. You can make the biggest difference being a school board member, being a city commissioner, being a county commissioner, because you're directly impacting the constituents, and they're right there. I mean, you're in the community. When you get to Topeka, when you get to DC, you're further away sometimes, and then you get a lot of the people that can influence a lot of times the decision-making process.
I 100% agree. I think anybody's impact to make or ability to make the biggest impact is on a local level. I mean, the thing I would always ask myself as we were looking at things, at the end of the day, I tried to look at everything through the lens of we have 7,000 students, and in USD 457 has about 7,000 students, about 1,100 faculty members. What's best for those 7,000 students, all 7,000 of those students, right? In the big picture of things. So
that's right.
Not every decision is going to sit well with everybody, but I tried to make decisions that I thought were in the best long-term interests of all 7,000 of our students, and the thousands upon thousands of students that aren't even in our district yet, that are yet to come, that are
right.
Still,
You're setting the tone for the years
future.
ahead, the future. I'm going to ask you, Edgar, we doing fine?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, as you have matured into the man that you become, into the leader that you've become, I'm sure there was a few times or a time that was challenging to you, and you probably had some doubts. Can you share a story? Was there any time that I don't know. I don't know if I'm in the right career. I don't know if I'm,
Sure.
can you go back?
Yeah. So I've always felt very, very solid in the decision to be in the construction industry. I've always felt I've always been very happy with that choice. I've always felt like this is a place that I'm best, to be in, and I enjoy it. I'm the kind of person that gets a lot of gratification out of seeing the fruits of my labor, right? And I was a superintendent. You could stand back at the end of every day and see walls that weren't there that morning. You could lay out a plan and build a schedule for for the next 18 months while you build this school, and then 6 months later you can look back and say,
wow,
hey, we thought we were going to be setting steel in the gym third week of October. Oh, it's third week of October. Look, we're setting steel in the gym. And so that kind of stuff is like what always motivated me, and why I picked this industry, and why I loved staying in it.
Because what you're doing, you're leaving a lasting impact.
Yeah,
as you get older and become an old man, and you take your kids, or I help build that building, this building, that building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's cool to drive around town and for my kids to see buildings that their dad built.
Yeah,
and so
that's got a great feeling, and for them.
Yeah,
that maybe inspires them.
Yeah,
encourages them.
Yep.
But you come on, Andy. You can't tell me you didn't have any failures.
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
I was just starting off with, why do I do what I do? So, as I start out, this is probably one of the biggest challenges that I've focused a lot of time, like as a personal development over the years, since I came into this new role of leading an office in a team of people. The characteristics and skill sets that made me a really good superintendent made me a horrible micromanager of people.
You learn about yourself, don't you?
And what made me really good at overseeing a group of subcontractors and making sure that we were getting buildings built correctly and that things were happening right on schedule, and all that level of detail and attention drove my own staff crazy.
Well,
of oversight, of a level of oversight. So an area of growth for me has really been in stepping back and trusting people and getting even to the point where trying not to hedge off every problem before it exists, but letting people learn. And sometimes that means learning through mistakes.
Was that hard for you to do?
Oh yeah, super hard.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to have a hiccup. I never wanted to see us stub our toe. I wanted to see things just click. And be perfect. And, as a leader, I think that my job is to set guardrails. I don't want to let somebody make a mistake that's going to be catastrophic. But I also know that probably the times in my career where I learned the most was when I was allowed to fail. And I can probably stand back now and see the people that were my bosses, and they saw that. They saw that train wreck coming. They knew it was going to happen, but they knew I was going to learn a lot from it, And so like that was tough. That was hard for me. And I'm sure
But it made you better.
Yeah.
A person, a better boss, better leader.
I lead differently now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah, but you know what's great about that and you is that you acknowledge it. And so you wanted to change to be better. Some leaders don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they go wrong. And they wonder why they have a dysfunctional team or people quit or, they're, so that was great. And then you learn from it.
I get so much satisfaction now out of, and I guess I always probably did, but I will just see people on my team, making decisions, and making the right calls and seeing their plans execute, successfully. And that's like so rewarding for me to sit back and not even have to be a part of that conversation. I mean, one of the things that I feel like my major responsibility in this role is to be a mentor. My job is to grow my team and to mentor my team. I mean, as I think we talked, at least maybe we talked before, but earlier, but my team's pretty young. Most of the people on and it's because over the last 7, 8, 10 years, I've really, really focused on growing a team and I'm seeking out folks about when they're in college. I'm finding kids from Southwest Kansas who want to be in construction, and I'm meeting them when they're up at college, and we're bringing them in as interns. So that's naturally created a team that's relatively young. I mean, my team, most of the people who lead my projects for us are, in their 20s and early 30s. But I had good mentors growing up. I can think of a couple specific individuals that I felt like really poured into me when I was in those formidable 20 years and helped me grow and lead. Not only taught me technical things, but taught me leadership skills. And so I really focus a lot of time and attention on that. And I even tell people, like, when we're potentially evaluating somebody that I want to maybe hire, I mean, I ask them, I said, how long is this being out? Are you from West Kansas? Do you want to be here a long time? Because I plan to pour a lot into you, and it's an investment in you. And,
sure,
we want this to be a long-term thing,
Yeah, it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. And again, I think I said it earlier, when these young kids know that you care, and you want to help them to grow and to become successful. And I'd say more companies, I wish, would do that instead of just looking at them as an employee, but invest in them. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a great thing. We're going to wrap this up. Andy, before we begin, I was telling Andy, I want you to share what your thoughts about leadership. Leadership can mean a lot of different things to all sorts of people, but there is a foundation with becoming a leader, and you would not be where you are at today without doing certain things and listening to those who led you, and whether it was constructive criticism or they were lifting you up. Tell me what your view, and more aimed this at the youth, adults too, because God knows we lack leadership in this country, and that's why Real Men, Real Leaders, we really believe strongly in teaching leadership at the 5th and 6th grade levels. They're young, yes, but we need to be teaching at that level so they get it. And so you tell us, what your thoughts about leadership are.
One of the things that I learned, or a theory or a thought about leadership that I really got to know and understand quite a while ago, was this idea of servant leadership, and that a leader is there to serve the people that he or she is leading. I always, like, when we talk about this, like on the job site, I always talk about, if you can set your subcontractors and trade partners up to be successful by holding them accountable, because you held the guy or the company in front of them that preceded them on the job site, you held them accountable, and you did, and that level of accountability, and it's even, and it's across the board. If you can do that, you're setting people up for be successful. Then they're going to set the next person up to be successful, and at the end of the day, everybody's going to be successful. But it's holding that standard, and it's creating it right off the offset. It's so much easier to start from that vantage point than to try to change course if you haven't, and one thing I'm huge stickler on is a clean job site. I mean, a clean job site is,
I think this says a lot.
It goes not only to safety, but quality of work. It sets a high, it is a silent message about expectations.
Yes, so, I agree.
But I always tell my folks, I said, if you want, you have to start that way. When you're out there moving dirt, you have to make sure your job site is clean, because by the time you're hanging drywall on the inside, if your job has fallen and not been a clean job site, you're going to have a heck of a time changing course. So you got to start it, and you got to hold it all the way through.
That's good. I believe that as well.
And that's just one example, a tangible example of that. But the other thing I've always been a believer in is, just as a leader, you got to be willing to do anything that you're asking people to do. So, and I keep going.
Lead by example.
Yeah, I keep going back to job site examples, but
it's okay. It's what you do.
If you're going to have a concrete pour that starts at 4 a.m., you should be the one that's there at 3:30 to unlock the gate.
Wow, great. Great advice.
Right? And you should stay until everybody's done at the end of the day.
Great advice.
And so, because everybody knows you're there.
They're watching you.
Yeah, they're watching.
Yeah.
They're watching. And as a leader, whether people pay attention to what you do and say and how you act.
That's right.
And you cultivate the culture around you by just those actions, whether you are intended to happen or not. Wow, that's so true. So cultivating the environment that you're working in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. They're watching you. They're hearing you. Excellent advice, Andy. We really appreciate you being on. Really do. We want to wish you and Hutton a lot of luck, and I want to thank you for your service to our community. And maybe we'll have you back on again at some point. It's a pleasure. And I want to thank the folks out there who joined us today. We appreciate you very much. So keep tuning in as we bring more leaders within the public and private sectors. I want to thank Edgar Mesa. Edgar is our producer of these podcasts. So if you're interested in being on the podcast, give me a call at 785-230-6388, and we can make it happen. So thank you so much for joining. God bless. We'll see you next time. How's that?